How's it going, guys? It is Venom Surge here, and welcome back to another episode of Elder Scrolls Online. Today, we will be checking out Hanu's Compassion. This is a light armor set that you can get from March of Sacrifices, normal or vet. Hanu gives us mag recovery, max mag recovery, a bigger piece of max mag. When you resurrect another player while in combat, both you and the player gain major heroism for 15 seconds, granting you 3 ultimate every 1.5 seconds. That is 45 ultimate that you can get for resurrecting someone, so that's very powerful. The next set we're pairing with this is Spell Power's Cure. This is a set that you can get from White Gold Tower on normal or vet. We're doing it on the jewelry and on the weapons, and we're doing resto stabs on both bars. The first piece gives us Magicka, weapon and spell damage. When you overheal, which means they are already at 100% health and you give them more healing, yourself or an ally, you give the target major courage for 5 seconds, which increases their weapon and spell damage by 430. Now the monster helm that we are running with this is Magma Incarnate. This is from the DLC The Dread Cellar dungeon. This gives you mag recovery and stam recovery for the 1 piece, and for the 2 piece, when you heal yourself or a group member with a single target heal ability, which can be a direct heal or an HOT, you grant the lowest health group member, which doesn't even have to be the target, the lowest health in your group, they get minor courage and minor resolve, increasing their weapon and spell damage by 200 and armor by 3k for 10 seconds. Then that buff will bounce to a nearby group member within 8 meters, and this can happen up to 3 times, applying those 2 buffs for 10 seconds to each person. This whole thing can occur every 15 seconds. This is actually pretty powerful. Now, if you guys cannot get this, if it's too hard of a dungeon, Symphony of Blades is also a great healer set. But this also comes from Vet Depths of Malatar. If you guys don't have any DLCs, Lord Warden is a good option. This will basically just grant tons of armor for everybody in the group, but it's based on when you take damage, and as a healer, you're not going to be taking damage too often. If you're in PvP, Troll King could also be quite nice, as this gives you health recovery increased by 1k, which in PvP is a lot better than actual healing. This comes from Blessed Crucible. Now all these have to be on vet. Now for what we're wearing, we're actually wearing heavy as the monster helm to help give us more resistances, and then light everything else. For the enchants, everything max magicka. On the big pieces, meaning the head, breastplate, and legs, we are using infused to increase our max magicka. This actually performed better than full divines. On the rest of stats, we are using powered with the normal enchant. On the jewelry, we're using infused spell damage. Let me buff up here and then I'll show you guys the stats. So we are looking at 36.5k magicka, 22k health, 14k stam, 26k magicka recovery. It showed up there for a second, but it's hard to keep these buffs up and show you guys. 300 health recovery, 650 stam recovery, 280, if you guys saw there, let me try getting this again. 280 magicka recovery, 4.5k spell damage, 30% crit chance, 5k penetration, 25k spell resist, and 21k physical resist. We are using the Ritual Stone. For food, I am currently using Ghastly Eyeball. This gives us max magicka and mag recovery. If you don't need any mag recovery, you could do Minstrel Banana Bunny Mat Hash. This will give you extra health. Or you could do Witch Mother's Potent Brew. This gives you a combination of everything. For the potions, we are using Tri-Stat Potion for the most part. However, If you don't need the extra health or stamina, you could do any spell power potions to get stronger heals. For the skills on the front bar, we are using Combat Prayer. This is a restoration staff skill. You do a carpet heal, 13k, that's quite a bit, and everybody gets Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve for 10 seconds. Our next skill is Braided Tether from the Living Death tree. This is a siphon ability that does about 30k healing over 12 seconds. This occurs every half second, and anybody caught in the beam heals, or in a 5-meter radius around you. And while slotted, healing done is increased by 3%. This is what the skill looks like, so anything in this beam, they will heal, and anything in this little AoE around me, they will heal for the same amount I am showing you guys on my screen right here. The next skill is from the Restoration Staff. This is Radiating Regeneration. When you hit this, you or up to 3 allies heal for 30k over 10 seconds. This is a single target HOT. Back into the Living Death tree, Renewing Undeath. This is at first an AoE that heals for 12k health. Now remind you, this is all unbuffed numbers. And then if you consume a corpse, on cast you immediately remove 3 negative effects from anybody who is healed. This will place a heal over time in an AoE that does 13k health over 5 seconds. So the initial hit, big hit right there in that AoE. If you consume a corpse, it leaves this AoE here that'll continuously heal you every second, and will take away 3 negative effects from you. Next up, back into the Restoration Staff, we are using Illustrious Healing. This is a AoE instant hit for 3k, and then an additional 3k every second for 12 seconds. For our first ulti, we're using In the Living Death Renewing Animation. This allows you to revive up to 3 allies in a long range AoE, so I can place it wherever I want, as you saw there. And I restore 5.3k magicka and stamina per ally I attempt to resurrect. They don't even need to accept the resurrection, I just get it instantly. On the back bar, we are using Overflowing Altar from the Undaunted skill tree. This costs 4k health, but then it applies minor lifesteal to all enemies within 28 meters, making everybody heal for 700 health whenever they damage the enemy. If allies get low, they can activate a synergy that heals them for 65% of their max health, which is very powerful. Back into the Living Death tree, we are using Blood Sacrifice. This is a single target, very powerful heal. You can either heal you or an ally in front of you for 15k. But this will apply Minor Defile to yourself for 4 seconds, reducing your healing received by 8%. This is actually important, and you will see why later. If you consume a corpse near you, you also can heal a second target, so you can heal you and yourself or 2 allies. Next up in the Bone Tyrant tree, we are using Summoner's Armor. This gives us major resolve, and while this is active, it reduces the cost of all of our pets by 15%. And when this effect dies, it drops a corpse. What's cool about anything in our skills that drop corpses is you can activate it again halfway through its duration, and it will technically reset. So 7 seconds, pop it. We have a corpse now to play with. Back into the Undaunted skill line, we are using Energy Orb. This heals everybody for 2.4k health, and this is a orb that moves forward, so this is not static, you need to actually follow it. But more importantly, people can activate a synergy where they heal for 11k health and restore 4k magicka or stamina, whichever max is higher. Back to our Living Death, we are using Intensive Mender. This is a criminal act, be careful where you use it. When you activate this, you summon a pet for 8 seconds. Every 2 seconds, the spirit will heal you or the lowest health person, which could be you or another ally, for 12k health. This actually bumps up to very high numbers, but this is only every 2 seconds. This also creates a corpse on death. For our second ulti, we are using Glacial Colossus. This is the giant thumb that smashes people 3 times, dealing 9k each time. The final one stuns everybody for 4 seconds, which is great for ads. and everybody gets major vulnerability for 12 seconds, and this is renewed each hit, so 12 seconds after it ends. Now, some flex spots you can do Unnerving Boneyard. This will do okay damage, but more importantly, it applies major breach to everybody inside of it, so this is massive for ads. If you need more bodies, you could do Stalking Blast Bones. This is a very quick way to get yourself some more bodies. If you want more ulti, you can do Necrotic Potency, but you are consuming corpses, but you get a lot of ultimate. Agony Totem is also great. You get minor protection, you fear people, and they can do some synergies for minor vulnerability, but it's very expensive, and it doesn't last super long. Empowering Grasp is also nice. It does a lot of CCs and applies some debuffs and empowers you and your allies, but it's very, very short and expensive. If you want a self-cleanse, if you don't want to rely on having a corpse for this, Expunge and Modify is good. You can do 2 negative effects and restore some resources, but that's not good for group content. If you want a group purge that is more efficient, you could do this. However, it's 5k magicka and does 3 negative effects, but honestly, renewing Undeath tends to be corpses everywhere, so this usually is fine. Now onto the CP. In the green CP, doesn't really matter. Get some movement speed outside of combat, better quality in chests, movement speed for your mount, doesn't use stamina while sprinting on your mount, reduce your damage taken from fall damage. This is actually kind of nice. When you resurrect yourself or another player, you have a 33% chance not to consume a soul gem, which shouldn't happen too often, hopefully, since we are a healer, but if it does, these things can help out. In the blue tree, try to get all the passives you can. We don't need any damage stuff or tanky stuff. Ideally, just come straight over here, get this one unlocked, and then we're going to come down to here to Enlivening Overflow. When you overheal yourself, which we should be, because we're a healer, and then also Spell Power Cure is going to be proccing, so it's 2 different things proccing when you overheal. You grant the target all 3 recoveries equal to 0.5% of your max magicka. So basically, all recoveries get 150 extra when you overheal yourself or an ally, and you get the major courage from the Spell Power Cure set. Up here, we're going to come to Soothing Tide, increasing our healing done with AoEs. We are about half of our healing is AoE, so that's nice. Swift Renewal, heals over time are increased by 10%. The majority of our heals are heals over time, so this is a must-have. Rejuvenators, also great. We get 165 spell damage for our healings. Over in the red tree, get some armor, get some health. We're going to come into Survivor Spite here, and this is where it gets unique. Increases your recoveries while under the effects of a negative effect. We can purposely give ourselves a negative effect with this skill. So even if we're out in the middle of nowhere, I just pop this, 3 things are happening right now. Because I'm over healing, I get the major courage. I also get those recoveries from that overheal, and I get the recoveries from having a negative effect. So look at my recoveries drop off here. We just lost like 300 recovery on each thing. And then we're going to come up here and get Spirit Mastery, decrease the time to resurrect people. Once again, people shouldn't be dying, otherwise you're failing as a healer, but if it does happen, a lot of good things occur. I would also try to get Tempered Soul. This will give you much more resources when you resurrect. Now onto the passes. I'm only going to go over the stuff that's mainly going to affect the build. Everything does affect it, but these are the more important ones. In Gravelord, get reusable part. Each time you use your pet, the next time will be cheaper by 50%. In the Bone Tyrant skill line, you're going to want to get this. Whenever an enemy in combat dies, you don't even need to attack them and you don't need to get the kill. Whenever they just die, you restore 200 magicka and stamina, as long as something is slotted here. So on our front bar, we don't get anything here. That is where having like the Goliath could be nice if you need to survive, but then we'd be losing one of our major ultimates. So It's up to you. Usually I would run Agony Totem, so you could do that instead, but we do need a lot of these buffs. Disdain Harm is also very nice. It reduces the damage you take from DOTs by 15% while a Bone Tyrant ability is active. Summoner's Armor should be up at all times, so that should be helping you. Last Gasp is also amazing, just increases your max health by 1250. In the Living Death tree, we want Curative Curse. That actually gives us more healing done when we have a negative effect on us, which we should because we can give ourselves one. Near-Death Experience is also amazing. It increases your crit chance for all healing abilities by up to 20% in proportion to the severity of the target's wound. So the lower health your ally gets, the more chance you get to heal people. Corpse Consumption is also amazing. Anytime you do anything with a corpse, Bajika Bow Wow, you generate 10 ultimate. Undead Confederate is also amazing. Whenever you have a pet active, your recoveries are increased by 200. So when we pop our pet and this, we're at 2200 Magicka recovery. We can actually pump that even further with a potion, 25k, and there's some other things I'm forgetting right now. So we get a lot of recoveries going. In the Resto Staff, you will want to get Essence Drain. Anytime you heavy attack, you get Major Mending for 4 seconds, and you heal somebody for 66% of the damage inflicted. You also want Restoration Expert, increases your healing by 15% on low health people. Definitely need Cycle of Life. This restores 30% more Magicka when you heavy attack, and that is massive. Absorb is not major whatsoever, you could just skip over that. Restoration Master is amazing as well. It increases your healing by 5% from the Restoration Staff spells. In the light armor, you can actually use Dampen Magic. It is a good damage shield, but I tend to not run damage shields just because you can heal yourself, so it doesn't matter that much. We are wearing 5-piece light, so we get reduced cost of stuff. I would for sure get a Vocation. This will help a lot with your skills. This will give you more resistance. And Prodigy is nice. Concentration you don't need. We're not doing damage. We're not using medium, but we are using 2 heavies. The main things I would focus here is giving you more resistance, health recovery, and restore stuff, but most importantly, revitalize, giving you much more resources back when you heavy attack. Juggernaut is also nice, and Rapid Mending for healing. In the Undaunted, you could get these 2. They have to do with synergies and giving you your resources back, and they are nice but not needed. So Echoing Vigor is actually an interesting one. It's a stam heal, but you can do 20k health over 10 seconds, so it's actually not bad in this new update. However, most of our stuff's already doing more, so I didn't think it would be important to use. If you do use Efficient Purge, then Magicka Aid will be nice. You get 10% more Magicka recovery when it's slotted. If you couldn't tell, we are an Argonian, so with this you get healing done by 6%. That's the main reason why we are an Argonian. You also get more max health and disease and poison resistance, and then max Magicka and stam. And when you drink a potion, you restore all 3 resources. In the Alchemy, you definitely want to get medicinal use. This will allow your potions to be up at all times. Even if you're just using tri-stats, that is major in helping you out in the battlefield. So for our rotation, we don't exactly have a rotation since this is healing. However, there is different situations that you will need to pay attention to. So first of all, our Summoner's Armor decreases the cost of our pet. So pop that first and then your pet. Pet will keep dying constantly, so you'll need to come back here. This is a very back and forth setup. Now, if somebody happens to get extremely low back here, we do have that manual big heal that we can pop if we need to. You're also going to want to put your blood fountain out and your armor up. Those are long durations. You don't need to worry about them too often. Every now and then throw out orbs so they can get their resources back. Keep your pet up. This will give you bodies to play with. On your front bar, keep your buffs up. So this skill here, great buff. Keep your tether up. This is a massive amount of healing. Every now and then, try to get this purge going. Purge everybody. It's also a good heal. Even if there isn't a body, if everybody just got hit by an AoE from the boss, just doing that, everybody heals for... I just got healed 18k by that thing right there. So this heal is massive, and that can just pop everybody up. This is a good HOT AoE. You don't need to think about it too often. So for the most part, you're spamming this. This should be on everybody at all times. Keep your buffs up, and you should be good to go. Now, before we go to combat testing, we don't do damage, and there's a lot of things that have to do with reviving and overhealing people, and this is PTS. There's like nobody on, so we have companions. We are using Bastion. So I've outfitted Bastion to be in 5 bolstered on the jewelry and weapons, and then quickened everything else, all heavy armor. I have not given him any heals whatsoever. The closest thing he has to helping him survive is this, which just reduces damage taken. That is it. The idea behind this is he has no heals, I am his healer. And there's actually a person here for once. So, we're going to come down here, and we are going to show off the revives and overhealing stuff. Now, he's not a player, I don't think he'll actually get some of these bonuses I'm giving to him, but I will be getting the bonuses. So, let's just aggro this thing here, and let's try to keep him alive. Hopefully he'll actually aggro the boss. So I'm just throwing out my HOTs here real quick. We'll get some of my tethers going, and I'll just stand back here, because usually you want to be behind the boss. As you can see, there is no struggle here whatsoever. I'm just keeping up my buffs. If I need, I can heavy attack and get some resources back. Might come over here to get that tether going again. He's gonna pop his ulti there. Now he doesn't get the resource regain from the bubble that I'm throwing out, but it still helps. So I'm going to let him die now. So I'm just gonna stop healing him. Okay, so now we gotta throw up our buffs just so that way I don't die. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here, try to find where his body's at. We're gonna give him a quick little revive. Now, I get major heroism, and if he was a player, so would he. And so now look at my ulti. I still have heroism going up, so I just gained 45 ultimate for letting him die. Now, you wouldn't want your friends to die, but maybe you would, I don't know. But in this case, he would have gained a lot of ulti, and with all this overhealing, he's getting tons of recoveries from our CP. From our spell power Kier, he's getting tons of weapon and spell damage increase, if this was a player. And with our monster set, as you can see here, when we heal with this, he should be getting minor courage and minor resolve. Now, this skill here, the staff slaying down, this already gives minor resolve, so that's kind of lost there. But other than that, there's no double stacking as far as buffs and debuffs go. So as you can see, we're throwing out a lot of numbers. Our big heals doing a lot of numbers. Even our staff slam down here, I mean, 15k there, 22k there. So I mean, we can get some good numbers. And if I want, I can get some negative effects on me, which will increase my healing done. So we don't actually want to purge ourselves, we want to purge our friends. So I would like step out of the purge circle So I didn't get purged from that. I still have a negative effect on me. But he got purged. So my healing still increased, but he's not taking any extra issues. Now, I don't believe I mentioned this, but our revive ulti, the reason why I chose a Necro is because of this ulti, we don't need to manually revive people. We can pop that ulti and it'll activate our set and our CP because you're resurrecting somebody. So the Necromancer has tons of extra stuff for resurrecting people and dealing with corpses, which include your friends' corpses. You can mess with your friends' corpses and it's completely legal. I mean, fine. Okay, so the outfit time. For the head, we are hiding everything. For the breastplate, we are using the light Mazatoon jerkin. For the shoulders, we are using the primal epaulets. For the hands, we are using the medium wood elf bracers. For the waist, we're using the light ancestral reach sash. For the legs, we are using medium blackfin legion. For the feet, we are using medium barbaric boots. For the staff, we are using the huntsman staff. For the back bar staff, we are using the ancestral reach staff. For the colors, for the dark gray, we are using Boethia gray, and that is across the majority of our stuff. For this brown kind of color to match the Mazatoon stuff with the bones that don't change color, I used Master Gold. For the light gray, we are using Legionary's Lead, and I'll run through all the coloring so you guys can see it. Okay guys, as I sit here and eat with nobody around, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was a bit of an easier one as the set was actually not awful. Now it is, worst case scenario, people are dying, which means you're not doing your job, but this build can actually heal for quite a bit, and we are doing a lot of buffs for a Necromancer. We don't get many buffs as a Necromancer, and we had to get a lot from the sets. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like and subscribe if you guys want to see more of this content. If there's any sets you guys want me to check out ahead of time, leave it down in the comments and I'll be sure to have it come up next. So see you guys next time.